Majority of people in Sao Paulo ride their cars or drive their cars. Even in the metro, I went during different times in the metro and it wasn't busy.
Realmente, eu acho que para morar em São Paulo, cara, você precisa ter um carro, mano. É tipo necessidade de ter um carro. As pessoas lá têm necessidade de ter um carro. E aí, pessoal, como é que vocês estão? Tá a começar mais um vídeo legalzão. E no vídeo de hoje, vamos ver aqui um gringo conhecendo São Paulo pela primeira vez. Ele vai nos mostrar aqui as primeiras impressões dele de São Paulo, né? As primeiras impressões de São Paulo que ele teve. Então, se vocês gostarem do vídeo, vocês já sabem, deixa o like, se inscreva no canal, ative o sino das notificações para receber todos os nossos próximos vídeos e fazer parte dessa incrível família. Vamos a isso.
Alright guys, what's up? How y'all doing today? So, I'm not in Sao Paulo, I'm in beautiful Curitiba, and it's a beautiful park. But I want to talk about my first impressions of Sao Paulo.
Que? Ele não está em São Paulo, mas ele vai falar das primeiras impressões que ele teve quando estava em São Paulo.
I stayed there for a week, and let me talk about, like I said, my first impression of Sao Paulo. So, before I even went to Sao Paulo, I've been to Brazil many times. Many years ago, 13 years ago, I came many times, and I always did a connection through Sao Paulo, going to Florianopolis, and then traveling around that area, Santa Catarina, all that good stuff. But I never went to Sao Paulo. I've always heard of Sao Paulo. I always heard it's a big city, a lot of traffic, a lot of cars, dangerous, all that kind of stuff. And for the longest time, I'm not even gonna lie, I was a little bit intimidated of São Paulo.
Realmente, lugar muito populoso, com certeza vai ter índices maiores de quase tudo, porque há muitas pessoas lá, então acontece muita coisa. Então é normal de ter índices assim, índices um pouco elevados de certas coisas. Muitos carros, muitos prédios, alguma parte perigosa também, mas é normal.
I was intimidated by it because of that, because it's one of the biggest cities in the world. They say a lot of traffic, a lot of cars, a lot of movement. I'm also looking around here to find a outdoor park to do some workout, but a lot of movement. And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to go to that city. But what I found was totally different than what I expected. There wasn't that much movement in the streets, like people walking the street. I stayed in the outskirts of Sao Paulo. I stayed near an area called Via Mariana, which is near
Vila Mariana. É muito famosa a Vila Mariana, mano, em São Paulo. Não sei porquê.
Station Santos Imigrantes. So I was about a 15-minute walk from Santos Imigrantes. And in that area, hardly anybody was walking. There was, usually when I walked to the metro, I would see maybe 4 or 5 other people walking. The majority of people in Sao Paulo ride their cars or drive their cars. Even in the metro, I went during different times in the metro and it wasn't busy. Massive fish. It wasn't busy at all. It was almost empty, even during peak times, you know? So
realmente, eu acho que para morar em São Paulo, cara, você precisa ter um carro, mano. É tipo necessidade de ter um carro. As pessoas lá têm necessidade de ter um carro, não é tipo luxo. Algumas pessoas têm por luxo ou algo do tipo, mas a maior parte das pessoas realmente que vivem em São Paulo tem carro por necessidade, porque, meu amigo, morar em São Paulo sem um próprio carro ou algo do tipo, meu Deus do céu, é um perrengue que você não está a imaginar.
That was a big surprise.
Mas às vezes também andar de metrô tem uma certa vantagem. Nas horas de pontas, por exemplo, apesar dos metrôs ficarem muito cheios, não tem congestionamento como é o caso de andar de carro, né?
For me, I was expecting it to be more like New York style, like Manhattan style. Is that a monkey over there? Hold on one second. That's a monkey chilling out. All right, I don't know if I can zoom in on this one, but if you see, I don't know if you see this black animal here. It's a monkey over there chilling out in the middle of the island. Huh. Can y'all see him right here? Oh, that's super cool. That's random. Who would expect to be in a major city, go to a park and see a monkey chilling out? And it's a big one too. Oh, there's more up in the tree.
Curitiba também parece ser muito calmo, mano.
Oh, that's super cool, man. Okay, anyways, back to what I was saying. So I was expecting to be like more Manhattan style, more people in the streets walking around in the metro, that kind of stuff. But no, it's mostly cars and people driving. So it's one thing that surprised me when I got there. That wasn't what I was expecting. The other thing that I was expecting, I hate to say,
Tem tantos carros que existe até aquela lei de rodízio, né? Alguns carros com algumas terminações aí nas placas andam certo dia e no outro dia não pode andar. Então é mais ou menos, acho que por ter bastante carros em São Paulo, né?
hey, but most major cities in different countries, like in Colombia, Bogota, I don't know, in the States, New York, Chicago, it is known, like for example, up north in the States, Northeast, people are a little bit more direct, not as friendly, not as welcoming, that kind of stuff, not like in the south of the States. Or for example, Bogota, people are a little bit more cold, timid, not as friendly, not as engaging as in, for example, Medellin or Cali, right? And Bogota is like the capital, right, of Colombia. I was expecting something like that, but I was surprised that people in Sao Paulo were super friendly. Like they were curious, they want to know about me, they want to know where I'm from, and hello, and very easy to start to engage a conversation with anybody, a complete stranger. People smiled, just very friendly. And also I was expecting it to be a little bit more dangerous than it was. Now I'm not gonna say it's not dangerous there. It is dangerous. You gotta be careful. You have to be careful with in certain areas you go to. For example, in the old city center of Sao Paulo, where all the yeah, it's called the old city center. That area can be dangerous during the daytime and especially at nighttime. Do not go there at nighttime walking by yourself. I went during the daytime by myself the second day I was there. No, the third day I was in Sao Paulo, and it was sketchy. It was more intimidating than downtown Medellin, and the reason why, but at the same time,
cara, é muito verdade. Até os próprios paulistas falam, mano, tem alguns lugares de São Paulo aí que realmente são perigosos.
Visually it was more intimidating, but at the same time I felt less afraid someone will come up and try to rob me than I would in Colombia, for example, when I lived in Colombia. Because, how can I explain this? It's visually more intimidating because when you arrive, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, because of whatever happened with the elections, I don't know, 5 years ago in Brazil, a lot of the businesses in that area are closed. So many businesses are closed. There's a lot of homeless, unfortunately, situation in that area. So a lot of homeless people in the streets. They have tents, not very clean. Like I went to the station, say SE with the exclamation. I went to that station, and right when I walked out, man, I looked around, I was like, oh man, dude, this is kind of intimidating. And the smell.
Será que falou a estação da C?
It smelled really bad. Smelled like feces and urine. Overwhelming, because of the homeless situation. So that area can be sketchy. I talked to a few Brazilians, a couple of my Uber drivers, and some other people, and they told me that area as well is dangerous, to where they...
Cara, o melhor conselho que você vai receber no Brasil, você sendo estrangeiro, é o conselho dos motoristas de aplicativo, cara. Eu acho que eles já viram tanta coisa, mas tanta coisa, que o que eles falarem, acate, mano. O que eles te aconselharem, acate, porque, sério, eu acho que eles já viveram tanta coisa que os conselhos deles são muito válidos, mano.
It would, like 5 guys will come up to you and rob you and beat you up for your stuff, that kind of thing. And I want to make a video about safety in Sao Paulo in another video. I'll talk more about that, but other than that, outside the city center and other areas I went to, it felt safe. Like Avenida Paulista, even though I took a tour, the free walking tour, and the tour guide said, you know, put your cell phones in your pockets, don't take it out in this area. He told us in certain areas, you know, to be careful. But again, I've lived in Colombia for 6 years, and to compare, it's more sketchy in Colombia. It's more likely that someone will come up on a motorcycle and snatch out their cell phone from your hand than over there. So, and again, I'll make a video on safety, and the video was my first impressions. It wasn't as dangerous as I expected it to be, and once again, that's coming from my perspective, living in Colombia, not someone maybe living in Kansas. I don't know where's the city, in the suburbs of some wherever in the United States where nothing happens, right? Then if you go to Sao Paulo, you're gonna feel it's very dangerous. If you're coming from a major.
Mas eu também sempre falei isso. Antes de você conhecer o Brasil, você não tem muito o que falar do Brasil, mano. Não tem muito o que comentar do Brasil. Só depois que você vir pro Brasil, você vai ver que não é tão perigoso quanto as pessoas mostram.
City or a place that's known to be sketchy, it'll be kind of not so much, if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense. What's other than that, my first impressions? The food was amazing. I knew that the food, Brazilian food, is amazing. It just is, especially the desserts. Brazilians know how to make desserts, man, especially cakes. Their cakes are amazing. Hopefully I won't gain too much weight while I'm here, but I've been eating a lot of cakes, especially chocolate brigadeiro cake, my gosh. Anyway, so that's great. The food, the people are amazing. And walkability is good in Sao Paulo. I'll make another video about that as well, but I was able to get around walking and take the metro, and I'm sure if I would learn the bus system, I could have got everywhere in the city. So those were my first impressions. I was delightfully surprised. I was also surprised about the cost of things. Things are expensive. You eat lunch and it costs 30 real, or about $6 to 50 real, which is around $10. So $6 to $10 for a lunch, or more, you know, depending where you go. So I was surprised by how much it costs here. And look at the baby monkey. Other than that, yeah, I'm happy I went. Japanese town, Liberdade, was super cool. Right when you leave the metro, you got the smell of Asian food, like right when you left the metro. And I went on a Sunday, so on Sundays they set up shop and they sell like Asian street food right outside the metro. Super cool, highly recommend it. And there you go. So yeah, let me know, guys, if you guys been to Sao Paulo, what you guys thought, and I'll keep on making videos on these topics about Brazil, and I'll also make some videos on comparisons Brazil and Colombia. All right, guys, see you next video. Ciao, ciao.
Gente, esse vídeo só mostra mais uma vez como a mídia influencia bastante na opinião das pessoas que moram fora do Brasil. Então, as pessoas já vêm para o Brasil com uma ideia meio que formada, uma ideia meio que distorcida, mas meio que já formada sobre o que esperar do Brasil. E chegam no Brasil e vê que é um pouco diferente, que não é totalmente aquilo que mostram nas televisões. E na maior parte das vezes, quando mostram aquele tipo de notícia, as pessoas ficam com um certo medo, tipo, criam um certo medo em si de vir para o Brasil. Mas depois você se acostuma e percebe que não é tão desse jeito que mostra. Mas é isso, espero que tenham gostado do vídeo. Não se esqueçam de deixar o like, se inscrever no canal, ativar o sininho das notificações para receber todos os nossos próximos vídeos e fazer parte dessa incrível família. Até o próximo vídeo. Fui!